All right, so in this video, we are going to talk about all of the different functions, all of our different trig functions, and what their 5 important points and asymptotes are. So we're going to start with our best buddy sine. We know that over the course of a whole period, sine starts and ends on the midline, and dead in the middle, it crosses the midline as well. Now we know that what it's going to do in between those 2 points is go up and down. And so it goes to whatever value A is, and then the opposite value of A as it goes to the right. And so then we get to connect with a lovely, wonderful curve. And that's how we get our sine graph. That's one period of a sine graph. So it doesn't matter if your period is really wide or really narrow, it's always going to start at the midline, go to A, go back to the midline, go to the opposite of A, and then go back to the midline again to start up over again. When we talk about cosecant, which is the reciprocal of sine, it's a very different looking graph, but we actually know that we have some very similar values happening because cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So anywhere where sine is worth 0, its reciprocal of 0 is going to be undefined. So anywhere where sine crosses the midline is where cosecant ends up with a vertical asymptote. A vertical asymptote is just a line that your graph never crosses, right? It'll get really close to it, but there's not going to be a value there because it's an undefined value, and then it jumps over to the next location. And so we end up with curves that get really close to those asymptotes, but don't actually touch them, and instead head up and down to positive and negative infinity. Now, in between these values, cosecant actually does the same thing that sine does. The first part, it goes to whatever the A value is, and the second part, it'll go to whatever the negative A value is, the opposite of the A value. And the reason I'm saying opposite is because when we talk about these A values, yes, when it's sine or cosine, they're the amplitude, but everywhere else, we don't actually have amplitudes, and those A values are just whatever number is out in front. And if that happens to be a negative number, that means that sine and cosecant would start down in negative land, and then they'd be up in the second half of the period. All right, so it's just one of those things of whatever A is, that's where they're headed, and then they go to the opposite of A. If that's a positive number, then they go up. But if it's a negative number, which it usually is, they go down. Next is cosine. So cosine is a very similar graph to sine. It's just shifted a little bit. It's off by pi over 2. We're going to find also that secant and cosecant are very similar, but shifted by pi over 2 units as well. So when we talk about cosine, we know that cosine starts and ends up at the A value. So if A is positive, it starts up. If this value is negative, it's going to start down here instead at a negative A value. And then in the middle is where we end up at the opposite of A. And then in between those two values are where we actually cross the midline. And once we have all of our values, we take them and we connect them with a nice wave because that's the shape that cosine makes. And then we can take that and we can repeat it. Again, because it's a periodic function, however large the period happens to be, you just put in your starting and end points first, then graph the center point, then graph the left and right halves. And that's going to give you your whole period. When we go to graph secant, we know secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So just like where sine was worth 0 and crossed the midline, cosecant ended up with vertical asymptotes. In all of these places where cosine crosses the midline, that's where secant is going to end up with vertical asymptotes. And for secant, I actually like to start by graphing those asymptotes, even though they're not the edges of the function, they're the middles. Now I can graph all of my different a and negative a values. Again, they're the same as for cosine. So cosine started at a, so does secant. And cosine ends at a, so does secant. And in the middle is where we go to the opposite of a. And just like cosecant looks like two different u's, one that opens up and one that opens down, so does secant. But it's just that because it's shifted, it makes it look a little bit like it's got three curves, because this curve here on the left is the second half of this curve here on the right. Together, when we repeat this graph and head into the next period of the function, this part here will just get tacked on over here, and you'll end up with a full U shape right there. All right, and then we have another asymptote that's a quarter of the way in, and then we'll have another down curve over here. Okay, so don't let that throw you off about secant, is that technically the period only lasts from here to here, but if you decided to kind of shift your thinking and look at the period starting at this asymptote, you could have two wonderful U-shaped curves within one period. So it's all about a matter of perspective there. And then our last graphs are tangent and cotangent. So the thing about tangent that makes it hard is that tangent is centered at the origin. All of our other graphs start at the y-axis and move to the right, but when we graph tangent, we actually put the middle of the graph on the y-axis first. That's where we cross the midline. And then we extend half a period to the left and half a period to the right to get a whole period fitting on either side, okay? Now, tangent has asymptotes on the outside. That's why we graph it this way, because if we started it on the y-axis with the asymptote dead in the middle of the period, it kind of looks weird. We really want to think of tangent as that one continuous curve with the asymptotes on both sides. So we're crossing the midline in the middle, asymptote on either side being a whole period width apart, right? This is one whole period. And as far as values go, tangent starts at the opposite of A, goes through the midline, and then goes to A. And we connect it with this kind of swooshy looking curve that looks like that. And that's one period of tangent. When we talk about cotangent, again, we're having some similar relationship things where tangent crosses the midline on the y-axis is where cotangent is going to have its first vertical asymptote. And so it will then extend from the y-axis out for one whole period, which is pi over b. And it, again, ends with a vertical asymptote. Now, I know this looks very similar to tangent, but you have to keep in mind where it starts. When these get lined up like we saw in our graphing cotangent video, you can see that these actually don't line up because this line here is this line here. In all of our other situations, I have them stacked on top of each other so that they line up, but we can't do that with tangent and cotangent because they're centered at different places. Now, our other three important points for cotangent are that dead in the middle is where it's going to hit the midline. And cotangent functions look like flipped tangent functions. All right, on the left-hand side is where they go through A, and on the right-hand side is where they go to negative A. So when you have a positive A cotangent function, it has the same shape as a negative A tangent function, okay? And so that matters. So that's just something to kind of pay attention to and to understand, all right? So long as A is positive, tangent looks like it has kind of a positive slope, and cotangent looks like it has kind of a negative slope. All right, so for each of these graphs, you really want to have memorized those 5 important things that you're using to graph. For For instance, for sine, you want to remember that sine goes midline to A to midline to negative A to midline. Cosine goes from A to midline to negative A to midline to A. Tangent has an asymptote, negative A, midline A, and then an asymptote, and it's centered at the y-axis. Cosecant, asymptote A, asymptote, negative A, asymptote. Secant, A, asymptote, negative A, asymptote, A. And cotangent is asymptote A, midline, negative A, asymptote. All right, that's the kind of thing that you just want to know. You want to know what shape they make and have an idea of those 5 points that you're going to use over one period of the function, all right, over one repeat. You also have to make sure that you know that when we talk about sine, cosecant, cosine, and secant, they all have a period that's 2 pi divided by b, versus when we talk about tangent and cotangent, each of their periods are only pi over b long. They are half as wide, all right? So that's just something to have in mind as well. And that's what you need to know to be able to graph these functions. I hope that this helped, and I hope that it helped you kind of construct your own chart and use that chart as a reference when you're modeling your graphs. I'll see you in our next class. Have a great day.